Welcome back for more comedy. I'm really looking forward to this story. Please like this video and please subscribe to this channel. Okay, this comedy is a story of my high school bully. His name, Lombardi. Lombardi. So in high school I did really well and a lot of people knew that. And there was this guy named Lombardi. And he picked on me every day and made my life so miserable. He was terrible. I saw him as the devil. And I moved to Florida when I was 18, go to University of Miami. And, I graduated University of Miami 4 years later. And at one point, I didn't really keep in touch. I didn't keep in touch with him. He was a terrible, horrible, lousy person. I didn't want anything to do with him. So he graduated and I ended up going back to New York for a visit. And I guess it was from Facebook or maybe somebody else at that point or somebody somewhere along the lines. I found out that Lombardi was working at TGI Fridays across the street from the United Artists Movie Theater. I think those things are still there. It's been so long. So I said, this is my big chance. Lombardi? He didn't get through college? Phew! I'm gonna go to TGA Fridays with my friends, and hopefully Lombardi's there, and he'll be my waiter, during the lunch. It's not that crowded there during lunch, and I'm gonna make my high school bully feel like garbage, like he made me feel every day. And I couldn't wait. And I got dressed up in my nicest clothes and I went with 2 or 3 friends because I was finally going to give Lombardi his comeuppance. That guy is horrible. So we went in and we sat down at a table where you could see the ocean from the patio, me and 2 or 3 other guys, and Lombardi comes up to me, dressed up, TGI Fridays written across the top, wearing the whatever they wear. I think it's the black, white, and red. And I was face to face with James Lombardi of St. Edmunds High School. He came right up to me and he had the biggest smile on his face and he said, "Dominic Spano." And James Lombardi hugged me. And I was shocked. And I must have sat down there like I had just seen a ghost. And he said, "Well, what would you guys like to order?" And I could barely speak. And we said, chicken wings and mozzarella sticks. And I just sat there puzzled and scratching my head. And Lombardi was our waiter. And by the way, he was very vivacious. And he said, I spoke to him, we ended up, kind of building rapport. And I got up and I took him to the side and I said, "Listen, you were such a bully to me in high school. Why are you being nice to me? What?" And I had, I was like, "What is this all about? Why are you being nice to me? You were terrible to me. You were a horrible person. I had nightmares about you." And he stepped back and he said, "Nightmares about me?" He said, "I don't remember being terrible to you." And I said, "You picked on me every single day. It was dreadful." He said, "Once or twice I told you you had a pimple. You came in and you were wearing a Band-Aid to try to cover it up." He said, we were friends in accounting. He said, "You were the smartest person in the school and I just wanted to, so I made a couple of jokes about you." And I sat there like a schmuck and he said, "Well, what did I do that was so bad?" I couldn't even think of something that he did that was so bad. I said, "Well, you made a joke." He said, "You came in wearing a Band-Aid to cover up a pimple and it was so transparent you had it. It looked even more silly than it looked. People have blemishes, no big deal." I said, "Well, me and you were going to fight one day." I said, "You hung out with all the cool kids and I challenged you to a fight in Marine Park." I said, "You were supposed to come and fight me." He said, "I forgot that I was supposed to fight you." And I didn't want to fight you. I wanted you to tutor me in accounting because you were so bright. I said, it was ridiculous. I said, "What about all those women? You would talk about all these women that you were going out with, all these women that you were, jumping around with. Women? He said, what women? He said, I just said all that nonsense. You believed everything. He said, yes, okay, I met a girl when I went to college, and they were engaged. He was younger. They got engaged at that point. I said, what about college? You dropped, well, in a nicer way at that point. I said, well, did you complete college? I had to help my mother. She was sick. I essentially didn't drop out, but took a pause, and I'm going back now to take, I'm taking additional classes. She's feeling better. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I just sat there feeling so stupid. And I said, you made my life miserable. I couldn't think of anything. I said, you made it terrible. There wasn't really much I could come up with in hindsight. He said, I wished I was like you. The reason that I was always around you and giving you the business is because I knew I wasn't as bright as you. I wish you would have helped me a little bit more in those classes. Instead, you were worried about how I was acting. You took everything so seriously. I took everything so seriously. We had beers together. We had beers. His shift was over, so he sat with us. We had beers, and he comped the price. It was half price because of him. I took a picture with it, me and my high school bully, and I went in there ready to make this guy feel about 2 inches tall, and I walked out feeling like a hero to this guy and like a close friend. I couldn't believe it, and I still think about it 12 years later. And we kept in touch. He has 2 children now. He's married to a beautiful woman. He ended up doing pretty well. He got a job in, I think, marketing. He did well. I couldn't believe it. The takeaway of the story is these things that when we're younger, we inflate to the biggest things ever, in hindsight are probably really small. The second takeaway is that people could change. I mean, this guy wasn't really that bad in the first place, if he was bad at all. It was just a miscommunication, or a very small misunderstanding, probably predominantly on my part. And the third takeaway is someone who you thought was your biggest bully might actually end up... I mean, this guy told me he wished that he had the intelligence that I had. I don't know why he thought that, but that's what he said. Don't ever give up on people. And I mean, it's a funny story, but there's a couple of takeaways to it. Don't ever give up on people, and always give people another chance. You never know what the end of the story could be.